Hello, my name is Arib Rahman, and today I'm here with my special guest, Malisha Rahman, but I refer to her as Uppy because that's part of my culture. Today on Lunar Records, we will be discussing Cinder, written by Marissa Meyer. Cinder is a sci-fi adaptation of the original fairy tale, Cinderella. 126 years after World War IV in New Beijing in the Eastern Commonwealth, Cinder is the best mechanic in the city, and one day Prince Kai comes to her booth and asks her to fix the android. This one small action sets off a whole chain reaction of events, such as Kai having to deal with the marriage alliance with Queen Lavanna, and Cinder having to deal with leishmaniasis, the dangerous disease, and facing discrimination for being a cyborg. Now that it's all said and done, let us begin this podcast.
Hey, Uppy, and I want to thank you for joining me on this podcast and picking out my book for me.
Oh yeah, no problem. I actually had a huge trip down memory lane because I haven't read this book since 7th grade? No, 8th grade, something around that. And, one thing I actually wanted to ask you when you were reading this book is, do you think that if Audrey treated Cinder as an equal, Peony would have never died?
I think Peony wouldn't have died because if Audrey treated Cinder as an equal, then she would have never made Cinder fix the hovercraft. And then Peony never would have went with Cinder to the junkyard, and she never would have gotten leishmaniasis, the dangerous disease that plagues the whole world. Now I want to ask you this question. Speaking of leishmaniasis, do you think that the draft that Dr. Ellen set up for Cyborg to find Princess Celine, was it fair? Because he did find her, but all those cyborgs died.
Okay, my answer's gonna sound real messed up, but on a moral level, no. But on a political level, yes. So on a political level, because if you think about it, the entire world is under the evil regime of Queen Lavanna, so obviously they need to find an alternative source, which is Princess Celine, their only hope. Now, is it terrible all these cyborgs died? Yeah, I wish there was a better solution than doing that. But if I were in his shoes and I was given the choice, I would have done the same thing because, unfortunately, at the end of the day of politics, we see this in our modern day politics, you have to make some sacrifices for the better good of the future.
Now, I want to ask you this question. If you were a Lunar, would you agree that killing shells is okay just because shells can resist a Lunar's mind-controlling powers?
Ooh, wait, if I am the Lunar?
Yes, you are a Lunar. And this is your child. Your shell. The
yes.
shell is your child.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Alright, so if it was my own child... Okay, so my original answer was yes. But since it's my own kid, I would say no. But if it was someone else's kid, I would say yes. And I think as a general population, you would think yes. It just makes sense. Why would you want a group to exist that can literally threaten your entire existence? I think what was most interesting about this thing is its take on Cinderella. And yeah, I think it was a very interesting take. The most thing I enjoyed about Cinder, the thing I enjoyed most about Cinder is the take it has on the Cinderella tale. So how do you think Cinder, from your perspective, how does Cinder differentiate from the Disney Cinderella?
Well, for example, Cinder doesn't have a fairy godmother, while Cinderella does. So Cinder isn't given everything she needs, but Cinderella is. That's one example.
Okay, so I think what's quite interesting is when I was talking about this with my friends, a lot of people say how Cinder is the better version of Cinderella. And I think that's completely unfair because I think both women are strong in their own ways. Cinder is an extremely resourceful person. But she's not the pure-hearted Cinderella. So throughout this podcast, we've been talking a lot about discrimination and people not getting things. But do you think it is fair to solely discriminate someone based on factors they cannot control, and thus barring them from providing so much they can give to the world?
I hate to say this, but we gotta keep oppressing them, man. Oppressing them. Because even though innocent people are getting hurt, then if we break the walls and they start rebellion, more innocent people will get hurt on both sides. It sucks to say this, but survival of the fittest, man. Once I gotta live, else I gotta die.
Okay, that's actually kind of interesting because I have the exact opposite answer. I think, okay, for all you nerds in class, if you remember who James Madison is one of the founding fathers and the father of the Constitution and one of the authors of the Federalist Papers. There was one paper he wrote, we read in class in the beginning of the year, was Federalist 10. So, in the paper, to sum it up, I'm pretty sure he was drunk when he was writing this. It's a really hard paper to read. So basically what he was saying was that war is inevitable. Violence is inevitable. People will rebel.
So basically, to sum it all up, you're saying war is inevitable.
Yeah, I say it's better to break it down now and maybe not lead to a war per se, but lead to more diplomatic measures to work our way up to equality. Because if you continue to oppress people, bro, they're gonna kill you, man. But like, that's my point. You just can't delay it, and you have to face it head on.
Okay, that was a very good answer. I would like to thank our viewers for listening to our podcast today, and I would like them to rate them. So, I think that wraps up this podcast. Thank you, Uppy, for joining me today.
Yeah, no problem. And my advice to you kids is to continue reading, because through every book you read, you gain the experience and the knowledge of every character. And that's about it. See ya.